Well, you've probably heard already what's happening down in Texas. President Trump has said to the Republican governor down there, Greg Abbott, that he wants 5 more congressional districts that he knows would be Republican to increase his chances of holding on to the House of Representatives in 2026. Many of us do not wish to see the Republicans hold on to the House in 2026, and we don't like that kind of shenanigans. How the president so unabashedly even says something like that. Well, as you can imagine, there is a pushback happening already. All of us have a responsibility to ourselves to care about this and to do what needs to be done to make sure that those elections in 2026 are totally above board, totally cool, and totally according to constitutional principle. So I asked the wonderful former congressional representative Beto O'Rourke from Texas. He's one of the leaders of the pushback that's going on down there. I asked if he'd come on so that I could interview him. So I'm so glad that he did. We had one technical glitch, and that's it. You get to see his lovely face, but you won't see mine because we had a glitch. So you'll hear my voice. I think it was a cool conversation. I'm very grateful to Beto for coming on, and just a little one-sided there visually, but who cares? On my best. Here it is. Thanks. So Beto O'Rourke, welcome. Thank you for, as usual, being right out front on things that matter. Tell people, we've already been talking about what the president asked Greg Abbott to do down in Texas, but tell people what exactly happened and why should everybody care no matter what state they live in?
So Trump's trying to take 5 additional congressional seats in Texas. The reason that he's doing it is super important. He understands how deeply unpopular his policies are. The cuts to Medicaid, the Gestapo tactics that are terrorizing our fellow hardworking Americans, this massive transfer of wealth. It's nearly $1 trillion going from working Americans to the wealthiest 1% in the country. Nobody likes that. And he knows that on this current trajectory, he's going to lose control of the House. If he loses the House, there will be a check on his lawlessness. There will be accountability for his corruption and his crimes. And we will have the hope, at least, of free and fair elections going forward in America. So he understands that without these 5 seats, that's his future, and he needs to have them. So he's asked Abbott, the Republican legislature in Texas, to find him those seats, not making any pretense about the Constitution or whether the districts are drawn fairly, just focused on power, which I think we have to pay attention to because he cares about that to the exclusion of everything else, while I think too many of my fellow Democrats care more about being right and coloring within the lines than they care about being in power and being able to help the people who are being hurt by this president. So that's why he's doing it. There's an opportunity, though, Marianne, to fight back. And that involves supporting the Democrats in the Texas state legislature who can leave the state and break quorum and deny their counterparts the numbers necessary to redraw these maps. We can encourage Democrats who hold power in states like California or New Jersey or New York to use that power to redraw their districts to Democratic advantage. And then we can do the work right now to prepare for the possibility that these districts are redrawn in Texas and make sure that we are recruiting and fielding the candidates who can win in them, that we are recruiting the volunteers who can go meet the voters, and that if the wind is at our back, as it was in 2018 during Trump's first midterm, that we are prepared to really move with it and win these big elections in Texas.
So let's take those one at a time. The first had to do with breaking quorum and what we need from the Texas Democrats in the legislature there. Would you explain to us what that effort is and what it would take for it to succeed?
So the Republicans need their Democratic counterparts to be with them in session in Austin, the state legislature, to redraw these maps. If the Democrats don't show up, the Republicans can't convene, will not have a quorum, and won't be able to put these maps into effect. Now, this isn't an easy proposition. Those legislators who leave and break quorum will be fined $500 a day for as long as they're gone, and that money cannot be repaid from their campaign accounts. It's a personal fine. I think, Marianne, these legislators make something like $7,000 to $8,000 a year. So all of them obviously have another job or a side hustle or a career. They'll have to leave that as well. They'll have to leave their families. They'll have costs, their lodging, their food. They'll have the state troopers from the Department of Public Safety in Texas hounding them. They'll also likely have the FBI, Department of Homeland Security under Donald Trump, federal law enforcement also pursuing them. So this is going to be tough. But two things. One, if they can persist and stay away long enough, they can deny Trump the time necessary to redraw these maps in order to have them in place for the 2026 election. And number two, and I think you will really appreciate this, people across the country, they want to see people rise up and fight. And we haven't seen that from so many of our elected Democratic leaders so far. And I understand they're stunned. I understand that many of them just don't know what to do at this moment of truth. But the people want to see us fight. These Texas Democratic legislators could be the fight that America's been waiting for. And this underdog story, these hard scrabble, ragtag bunch of Democrats in Texas going up against the most powerful man in the world, who's supported by the richest people on the planet. That's what America needs to see right now. I think it will inspire hope and action from others across the country.
I want to ask you, I've heard you say here, and I've heard you say on other interviews, Trump doesn't want to just stop with Texas. From what I hear, he wants Mike DeWine to do the same thing in Ohio, correct?
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
So,
Yep.
so I've heard you say we need Pritzker in Illinois to do it, we need Gavin to do it in California, et cetera. What is your response to those who say, wait a minute, if they're doing it, that doesn't mean it's right for us to do it? I agree with you. We're past a threat to democracy. We're in a full-on attack on democracy. I don't disagree with that. So I think I know your answer, but I think it's an important thing to face. What do you say to people who say, wait a minute, it's not right for us to do it either?
I'd ask them to think about it through a metaphor that I think is really helpful. Imagine we're playing a basketball game. And for most of the game, the refs have been calling the fouls, and folks have had to sit out if they commit too many fouls or the other side gets free throw shots. The refs are now out of the game, and the other team is just squarely punching us in the face, disobeying all the rules. We kind of throw up our hands. We ask the refs to intervene. They're not coming. We look at the crowd and ask, hey, are you seeing what we're seeing? That this is wrong. People shouldn't be doing this. Meanwhile, they're literally just dunking on us play after play after play. So realizing that the rules of the game have changed, we have got to fight back, and we've got to fight fire with fire. And I would take it one step further. I mean, all these wonderful leaders in the states that you just mentioned, they've all talked about this in a reactive way. If Texas does this, if Trump does that, well, we know exactly what Trump is going to do. It would be, to use another sports metaphor, as though you were awaiting to be punched first before you threw your blow. And I'd love for us to seize the initiative right now. I'd love for Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker and all these other great Democratic leaders to start redrawing their districts right now, because we know exactly what Trump is going to do. And you, with Texas, he is going to do everything he can to hold on to power, because if he fails to hold the House in 2026, there is going to be accountability for his crimes. On the flip side, if we fail to prevail, that means more masked, plainclothes federal agents without warrants or badges sweeping fellow Americans up off the streets, more of Trump's political opponents targeted for retribution, persecution, violence even, and we've seen that already. And you and I both know that a Republican majority Congress will roll out the royal red carpet for a Trump third term in office unless we win this. So this really is the big fight. It is for all the marbles, and it starts right here in Texas.
Well, I think it's not even just about a Trump third term, a Trumpism third term, even if it's not Trump. At this point, there are forces that go so far beyond him and behind him that we have to worry about. It's a movement that's bigger. While we're at it, I know someone like James Tallarico in Texas is talking about the Christian nationalists. We've got the white supremacists. We've got the techno billionaires who are seriously, whether it's Peter Thiel or anyone else. Give us your general take, how you think Texas can be. We know it's part of the ground zero of what's wrong, but you and I are both from Texas. We also know it can be ground zero for what's right. Tell us your view of what's going on in this country and where you see Texas in all this.
I know that there's no historical analogy that's perfect, but if we look at the end of the Weimar Republic, when Hitler is named chancellor in January of 1933, it takes him 53 days to dismantle German democracy. And at every turn in those 53 days, the press, the politicians, and especially the public did too little too late. Within 53 days, he's the undisputed master of the German people, and so much terror, so many atrocities, so much evil proceeded from that, from what was a democracy, a constitutional republic. In the first 6 months of Trump's second term, we see him defying the federal courts, a co-equal branch of government, dismantling congressionally mandated and chartered agencies and departments, again, a co-equal branch of government, colluding with corrupt officials like Eric Adams in New York City, and inspiring the kind of hate and violence and giving full pass to the corruption happening in broad daylight. And so, this is happening right now, and you and I and everyone who's part of this country is going to be accountable for what we do or what we fail to do at this moment of truth. We'd like to think that if we were alive in Germany in 1932 and 1933, that we would have been those who were trying to do the right thing or doing the right thing or stopping Hitler in his tracks. This is our chance. After 2026, and 2026 is happening right now in 2025, after 2026, if we fail to stop Donald Trump, the consolidation of authoritarian power with all of the aspects that you just laid out, the tech bros, the billionaires, the wealthiest people on the planet, his authoritarian in arms, Bukele in El Salvador, who just changed the constitution there, Viktor Orban, other tyrants and despots and dictators. I don't know that we can stop this. I mean, you know me and I know you. The two of us are never going to give up hope, and we're never going to stop working and trying and fighting. But after 2026, if we fail in this round, it's really hard to see how we come back. And so this is our last best hope for what Lincoln called the last best hope of Earth. And we've got to do everything we can with what we have right where we are today. And so those three things that we talked about just in Texas, supporting the Democratic state legislators, who I believe will break quorum, encouraging Democratic governors to seize the initiative, to punch first and to punch harder, and then to make sure, regardless of what maps are drawn or not drawn, that we have the candidates, the volunteers, the resources necessary to win elections across the board, not just in Texas, by the way, but in other states that have been written off, that aren't part of the 7 states that DNC poured $1 billion into in 2024 and lost every single one of them. I mean, I'm talking Mississippi, I'm talking Georgia, I'm talking Alabama, the places that you understand and where you've been listening to people and speaking to people. That's where we've got to wage these fights.
So tell me about the organization. Did you found this organization?
Yes.
Tell me about it and tell people how they can help.
Yeah, we started this organization powered by people to try to work through the toughest voting laws in America. It's harder to cast a ballot or register to vote in Texas than anywhere else. So we reach out, we register people in person because you can't do it online. It's not automated, and there's no same-day registration in Texas. And then we personally stay in touch with those newly registered voters to help them actually cast that ballot. In addition, though, to the point that you made earlier, we're now raising resources to fund the quorum break by the Democratic state legislators in Texas so that they can stop these maps, stop the steal of 5 congressional seats in Texas. In 2021, when Greg Abbott was trying to change the voting laws in Texas, there was a similar quorum break. Our organization funded more than $700,000. Every dime that comes in goes right back out. We take nothing for overhead, nothing for our team. I'm an unpaid volunteer, just like everybody else in the organization. So if folks want to support this effort, it's poweredxpeople.org. And we'll use 100 cents on the dollar to support this fight and to make sure that we do everything we can to win.
Now, will you be having chapters of this in other states as well once you take on Texas?
We're going to other states. So right after I have a chance to talk with you, I'm going to Milwaukee. We're going to go to Omaha. We're going to go to Kansas City. We're going to go to Oklahoma City. We're going to go to New Orleans. I mean, really kind of the spirit that you live and that you understand, and the fight that we need to bring everywhere to this country, and remind us all that we're connected. We are in this together. What happens in Texas is not just going to affect the people in Texas. It's going to affect us everywhere. And if you live in Omaha, if you live in Oklahoma City, you're just as important as those who live in the 7 so-called firewall states or the places where the Democratic Party has been pouring billions of dollars into. We need to show up and listen to you and fight right alongside you. And yes, we can win elections in these places, but we have to start trying. Our party, for whatever reason, I mean, present company excluded, has absolutely abdicated, 43 states
Yeah.
in this country, blue and
Yeah.
red, either taken for
Yeah.
granted or writing them off.
Yeah.
So yes, we
Yeah.
got to show up
And
everywhere, fight for everyone.
and also, as you pointed out, it's a math issue. So it's whoever controls the house, it's going to affect you no matter where you live. Would you agree with me? It has always seemed to me, Beto, that when we gave in so easily in 2000, when we gave in so easily, knowing the shenanigans that were going on in Florida, that it's almost like they opened the door a little and went, well, that was easy. That always seemed to me to be a bit of a breaking point. Something else I think a lot of younger people might not realize. Tell me if this is true. The Voting Rights Act, I mean, it was passed in what, 65 or 64, under Lyndon Johnson. None of this could be happening had the John Roberts Court not begun to gut the Voting Rights Act. Isn't that correct?
Absolutely. And what's amazing, and you said this earlier, and you couldn't be more right. Yes, Texas is the epicenter of everything that threatens this country right now, including this attempt to steal 5 congressional seats. But as you put it so well earlier, Texas has also been the source of some of our greatest triumphs, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And it wasn't just Lyndon Johnson, the first president from the state of Texas. It was all of our fellow Texans, Marianne, who were pushing him to do the right thing. I mean, people in power don't just do the right thing because they're enlightened and they wake up one day and they say, I'm going to get this done. They do it because the people that they purport to represent and serve many times force them and push them and actually give them the power that they otherwise would have lacked. And so I think that's important for us to remember. But, it's reauthorized in 1975, thanks to another great fellow Texan, Barbara Jordan, again in the 80s, again in the 90s. And then the Roberts Court, in their infinite wisdom in 2013, Shelby v. Holder says, you know what? This thing has worked so well for so long that
Mhm.
we conclude we don't need it anymore. And
Uh-huh.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in her scorching dissent, says,
Yes,
that's like putting away the
that's what
umbrella
I
that has
was
kept you dry in
right.
this rainstorm for
Uh-huh.
the last
Uh-huh.
nearly 50 years. So,
That's
so we
exactly
got
what you said. You're
soaked.
going to poke holes in the umbrella, and this time the rain won't come through. And of course, Roberts made that ridiculous comment that everything's different now. We won't have to worry about those things going
That's
forward.
right. It's crazy. But you made a really good point that I just want to expand on. Not only in 2000 did we allow them to crack the door, and not only did we not fight back with everything that we had. And look, I think Al Gore, incredibly noble. That's really kind of the best of us. That action of, look, the Constitution, the rule of law, the peaceful transfer of power in America, that is paramount, and we're not going to fuck with that because we turn our back on that at our peril. To Donald Trump, who, when he loses a lawfully, legitimately decided election in 2020, literally tries to hold onto power through the threat and the use of violence in that insurrection attempt on January 6, 2021. We've got to learn some lessons from both of those experiences. And look, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I love so many of my fellow Democrats, but we really screwed up when we held power in 2021. We had the White House, the House, and the Senate. We had the
Absolutely.
John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We had the For the People Act. These things would have cured the problems created by the Shelby versus Holder decision. It would have allowed for free and fair elections in the state of Texas, and we would not have this power grab taking place in broad daylight in the state of Texas today that might cement authoritarian power under Donald Trump and, as you pointed out, his successors in America, unless we're able to stop this and overcome it.
Well, the Republicans, when they win an election, they say that is our mandate. And the Democrats say, well, it might not be a mandate. We need to wait till the next term. Obama had the House, the Senate, and the White House for 2 years, and so did Biden. And yeah, as I said earlier, we've gone beyond this is a threat to our democracy. It's an active attack. And our moving in any way slowly at this point is absolutely an inadequate response to the challenge of our times. And that's why I like you so much and you're out there. So everybody, and we will be writing it down underneath, it's powered by people, but it's poweredxpeople.org. And get
Absolutely.
involved. Do anything else you want to tell people?
I'll just say that, what you're doing and what so many of our fellow Americans are doing, that stuff is working. Lincoln said public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. we're changing public sentiment on immigration. Trump's polling at 35%. On the economy, he's in the tank. On Epstein, 90% of America agrees he should release the files. It's the protests, it's the public pressure, it's getting in the face of our lawmakers at these town hall meetings. You who are watching Marianne Williamson right now or listening to her, you may wonder, is my small act of defiance, is my small part of this fight, does it really matter? I'm here to tell you it absolutely does. It literally is the only thing that has ever changed the world and can make our victory possible over these would-be tyrants and fascists. So please keep up the fight. Please keep up the faith. Marianne, you please keep doing the work that you're doing. We need this right now.
Right back at you. And your energy demonstrates the point so well. We can't normalize any of this. We can't slow down. We can't accept it. We have to stand up now as other generations have done. All my best to you. We'll stay in touch and always know that this space is available to let people know what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Please keep it up. Adios.
Thank you. You too. God bless.
God bless.